Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel for my second long-form video. It's been over a month since the last one. I didn't really have time to make videos when I was traveling for the holidays and all of that, but now I'm ready to share what I bought during Black Friday. So we're starting with Mooncat, and I'm planning to do a Holo Taco video next. Mooncat is definitely a brand I like to get when they're on sale because they can be on the more expensive side. They usually do a 20% off sale twice a year, so my first order from them was not during a sale, but now when new collections come out, I add stuff to my wish list and I see what I still want when a sale comes around. So this was my third ever Mooncat order. I got 6 polishes and I've got live swatches for all of them, so I'll just get into talking about what I got and showing swatch videos. So most of the polishes that I got are from the Fallen collection that came out in September. That was definitely my favorite Mooncat collection this year. I added 5 of the 10 polishes to my wish list, which is definitely a higher percentage than usual. I didn't end up getting all 5. I left out Sagebrush since I just don't want to have too many thermals in my collection, but I got the other 4 that I wish listed. So that was 2 magnetics and 2 shimmers. And then I got 2 flaky polishes that were not from that collection. So getting into the swatches, I do just want to note that I have a tea bag patch on my thumbnail. It's very broken and I'm just trying to hold it together with the tea bag and nail glue until it grows out enough that the break is past my nail bed. So the polishes aren't necessarily going to look their best because they've got that extra texture to deal with, but you should still be able to get an idea of what they look like and how they perform. So starting with Fields of Lavender, it has a dusty purple base and red-orange magnetic pigment. I've said it before and I'll say it again, there is just something about a purple or indigo base with a red or orange shimmer or flake that I just really like, and this is kind of, the magnetic version of that. I swatched it in both the velvet style and the cat eye style. If you're not familiar, the velvet style involves using a magnet to pull the magnetic pigment to the top layer, kind of, so it's like separated out from the rest of the polish, and then when you move your nail around, at some angles you'll see flashes of the magnetic pigment, and at other angles you'll see more of that base underneath. And there are ways to do that with a standard nail magnet, but the method that has gotten popular lately is using a horseshoe style magnet. So I painted the first couple coats normally, and then when the last one, while the polish was still wet, I put my nail into that U-bend and left it there for a minute or so. Some people like to magnetize every coat, some people just like to magnetize the last one. I kind of go back and forth based on how patient I'm feeling. I like how Fields of Lavender looks in the velvet style. The magnetic pigment really pops, so it's a fun look. Then I also did the cat eye style, which means using the rectangular end of the standard nail polish magnet and holding it under the nail so the magnetic pigment gets pulled into a stripe, kind of in line with the magnet. You can also hover the magnet over the nail after you paint the coat, which might give you a sharper line, but I'm always worried that I would drop the magnet into the wet polish, so I don't generally do that. I don't like this polish quite as much in the cat eye style. I'm used to magnetics that have a little more going on, like an extra flaky or shimmer beyond just the base color and the magnetic pigment. And this one doesn't have that, so it just feels a little less exciting, but that's really just a personal preference thing. You'll also notice a lot of visible nail line on this swatch. I think that's because the polish was still kind of wet when I added top coat, and so the top coat brush kind of pulled the polish and created this thin spot. I'm pretty sure there would still be some nail line regardless because the base is a little bit sheer, but I don't think there would be quite that much. Now, we have a guest. But anyway, my swatching issues aside, I do think this is a nice polish, easy to work with, good formula, magnetizes well, nice color. I'm happy with this purchase. If you see me looking off to the side, it's because this is my filming buddy and she wants attention. Next up is Nocturne. The base is described as a dusky dark teal green, which you can kind of see more before you build this polish to opacity. Once it's opaque, the base looks like black or maybe charcoal, and then it also has small bronze flakes and copper orange magnetic pigment. I wanted to get this one because it reminded me of a polish pickup shade that I liked but didn't get because I don't usually shop from Polish Pickup. It was called Haunted Vibes. It was made by Emily DeMolly, and it had a dark base and a really bright orange magnetic shimmer that I thought was fun. So I was kind of wishing I had gotten it, but then I saw Nocturne and I was like, yeah, it's close enough. They are definitely different, but Nocturne was a good enough alternative for me. I also swatched this one in both the velvet and the cat eye styles, and I like it both ways. Getting that pop of orange with the velvet style is fun, and then with the cat eye, you more consistently see that dark base and the bronze flakes alongside the orange shimmer. I did 3 coats of Nocturne, and it does get pretty opaque, although you'll see a comparison between my thumb and another nail, where you can see that my thumbnail did not get as opaque as when I painted on another nail with less surface area. So this is one where how many coats you do will depend on nail length, but also how much you care about opacity and how much you want to actually see that teal color. This is the only polish from my haul that I've had a chance to wear so far, which is why I have the full hand shots and you can see that comparison. And it's also how I discovered that I really like it unmagnetized. When I wore it, I didn't use either magnet on my thumb because I painted the first coat and was like, this could be interesting. I feel like some magnetic polishes can look a little busy if you don't magnetize them because all the pigments are intermingling when they're meant to be separated out somewhat. But with this one, the base mostly disappears, but it also deepens the color of the shimmer to an almost brown color with those metallic flakes scattered throughout. And I love brown polish, so I'm glad to have a bonus one. Overall, I'm very happy with this. It's easy to work with, and it gives me a lot of different options for how to wear it. One note that I will make about Mooncat and magnetics: if you buy a magnetic polish from them, you'll get a free magnetic wand, which is very helpful if you don't have one already, because then you don't have to purchase something extra to be able to use the polish. But I would also like the option to say no thank you and take the magnetic wand out of my cart, because I have 3 or 4 of these now between Holo Taco and Mooncat purchases, and I don't need a new one every time that I buy a magnetic polish. Not a huge deal, but just something to note. Moving away from magnetics, I also picked up a couple shimmers from the Fallen collection. The first is Poems for a Harvest Moon, which is described as a bright orange Crelly lacquer with pink shimmer. Crelly just means that it's not fully opaque like a creme polish would be, but it's more opaque than a sheer jelly polish. I have plenty of polishes with an orange shimmer or flake, but this is my first with an orange base. I'm not usually that into orange, but I like the orange and pink combo. It's like, a sunset or a tropical flower or the lesbian flag. So I decided to get it and see how I feel about having bright orange nails. Color aside, this polish does have a good formula. It's easy to work with, not too thick or thin. It went on pretty smooth, even in the first coat, despite the whole teabag situation. And then the next couple coats built up the coverage and the opacity. I did dip back into the bottle on the last coat to make sure I had enough polish, and I think I kind of ended up with too much, but it still self-leveled well and everything. I wasn't expecting it to be fully opaque, and it's not, but it's one that can pass for opaque in most lighting, which works for me. I will also note that the shimmer is a little less visible in lower lighting, which I feel like isn't too surprising considering that it's pretty close to the base color. But overall, I enjoy this polish. I'm not about to go out and buy a bunch more orange since it's not something that I would want to wear all the time, but it's great for if I want something bright, and the shimmer is really pretty, so I'm happy with it. Next up, we've got Witch Hazel. The website describes this as a peach yellow shimmer that color shifts between shades of peachy pink, yellow, and green. Based on what I had seen of this polish in reviews, I kind of took that to mean that it had a peach base with a yellow to green shimmer, but I found that the shimmer itself also looks peachy in certain lighting, though that didn't necessarily pick up on camera. I just got this one because I think it's really pretty. I don't have a ton of this type of sheer ethereal polish in my collection, because I generally prefer something a little more opaque, but I loved the colors in this one. I had had Curse of Calypso on my wish list for a while as another option for this style of polish, but I hear that the purple base in that one tends to fade over time, so this felt like a good alternative. Like I mentioned, this polish isn't designed to be opaque, and it was about as sheer as I expected it to be. On me, because my skin tone is pretty peachy, in the swatch footage, it kind of looks like there's no base color and it's all shimmer, but you can still see how it builds up with each coat as more shimmer is added, to the point that you don't always see nail line. I thought the formula was good on this one, not too thick or thin, goes on evenly, self-levels well, and all of that, and I really enjoy the color. When this polish came out, the brand owner, Michelle, who designs the polishes, was comparing it to Demeter's Harvest, which is a yellow polish with a yellow shimmer that a lot of people find kind of ugly because yellow is not a popular polish color. And she was saying how that one isn't flattering because it's a yellow base with yellow shimmer, but if you put yellow shimmer in a peachy base, then it's more flattering. And I do think that she's right. This is a flattering polish, but I still also really like Demeter's Harvest. I think it's really pretty and glowy, and I don't care that much if it's flattering, but I can see why Witch Hazel might have more universal appeal. Moving on from the Fallen collection, I got 2 polishes from other collections, both of which are in the Jelly Flaky formula. The first is Curiosity's Prey. This one is a sheer white jelly filled with pink, orange, and green iridescent flakes and indigo iridescent shimmer. I don't even know what collection this is from. It's a polish that's been around since before I started paying attention to the brand. I just got it because I think it's pretty, and I don't have a lot of white polish, so I wanted to see how I feel about it. Also, I know when the Hollow Taco Birthstone collection came out, a lot of people were disappointed that they didn't do an opal polish for October. I didn't really care. I don't know enough about birthstones to have had too many expectations, but I was interested in seeing if this would be a good option for an opal polish. And I think it is. It's about as sheer as I expected it to be based on the description, but it has pretty even coverage from the first coat, so if you like that very sheer look, you can just do 1 or 2 coats, and that's where it's at its glowiest, but you can do a 3rd coat for a little more opacity, though it still wouldn't be totally opaque. I also want to note that it's more colorful in person than it's showing up on camera. In person, you do see a lot of those different colors from the flakes, as well as that blue shimmer, but it looks a little more washed out on camera. I'm including some intentionally out of focus clips just to try to show the color a little bit more, and I think these videos are a little more accurate than when I swatched this for a short a few weeks ago, if you saw that, but it still looks better in person. Overall, I do like this polish. My one complaint is that the neck of the bottle was a little bit crusty when it showed up, like it had maybe leaked a little bit, but luckily the polish in the bottle was okay, like it hadn't gotten thick or anything or dried out, so the formula was still good and it was easy to work with. And last, we've got the Diabolical Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls collab. This one has a lot going on. It's a purple jelly with color shifting purple-pink shimmer, green, pink, and black flakes, and 3 different types of hollow glitter. You can't necessarily tell apart the 3 types of hollow glitter because they're all very small, but that's what the description says. The Powerpuff Girls collection came out over the summer, and I wasn't super drawn to it initially. I didn't watch the Powerpuff Girls a lot growing up. There was like 1 episode tacked on to a Scooby-Doo VHS tape that we had, so I saw that a few times, but I didn't watch the show other than that, and most of the colors just weren't really my vibe, even though I did like all the glitter and flakes, especially the round glitters in the Bubbles shade. I don't know why, but I like round glitters, so I definitely wasn't going to buy the whole collection, but I kept coming back to the purple. I like that it has the black flakes and the shimmer, which set it apart from the other polishes in the collection, so I did decide to pick it up. As far as application, I was expecting it to be sheer. It is advertised as a jelly, but it was honestly more sheer than I expected. Looking back at other people's swatches from review videos, I guess I just forgot how sheer it applies because it does look the same on me as it did on them, and the color does build up in 3 coats, but it's definitely still a sheer jelly, and the purple looks a little lighter than it does in the bottle. And I feel like the formula contributed to that a little because it felt kind of thin and like the polish was dripping off the brush quicker than usual. So I had to dip back into the bottle a couple of times because I wanted to do thicker coats and get a little more coverage, but it's hard to make that work with a thinner formula. But aside from that, I do really like how this polish looks. I think the mix of flakies is really fun and the shimmer is a nice addition. I'm tempted to pick up the kind of reddish pink polish from this collection, but we'll see if it's still around the next time that I place an order, since the Powerpuff Girls collab was limited edition. So those are all of the polishes that I got. I did also pick up a couple of bottles of their Speed Demon top coat, since it's the top coat I like to use, and I would definitely rather pay sale price than full price. I know there are probably cheaper top coats out there that would work just as well, but I like the convenience of just adding this to my Mooncat orders. The only other top coat that I've tried is Holo Taco's Glossy Taco, and I just find that that one doesn't dry as fast and it gets thick faster. So between the two, I prefer Speed Demon. Maybe eventually I'll get around to trying some more. At the very least, I might get some Seche Vite for swatches, but we'll see. For now, Speed Demon is the go-to. But yeah, that was my haul. Before I go, I do just want to talk a little bit about the year that Mooncat had. This is the first year that I've bought from Mooncat. I've only been buying nail polish for not quite a year and a half at this point. So my first Mooncat order was in March, and then I ordered from their lunar sale in May, and then Black Friday. So I have a total of 15 Mooncat polishes now. And I think they came out with some really nice collections this year. There was Seasons of Persephone, Songs of Sirens, the Fallen Collection, Pandora Unboxed, and then the collaborations with Powerpuff Girls and also Star Wars, all very nice. They also had their exploding bottle issue, which sounds dramatic, I know, but apparently they had a bad batch of bottles where the glass was too thin, especially in the corners. So after the lunar sale in May, a lot of people were reporting that their bottles had broken in transit, and even that the bottles were just breaking out of nowhere, like on their shelves. I won't go into too much detail with that, and I didn't personally have any broken bottles, but Linry did a whole video about it, I think 2 videos actually, so I'll link those in the description if you want to know more. But yeah, after the lunar sale and the Powerpuff Girls collection, Mooncat actually took a couple months off from releasing polish and got new bottles, which look the same, but they're made without a seam between the two halves, which is how you can tell them apart. That seems to have mostly resolved the issue, but I do want to note that even though the Fallen collection and everything released after that is in the new bottles, older polishes have not necessarily switched to the new bottles. So the Diabolical Mojo Jojo and Curiosity's Prey are both in the older bottles, and you can see that seam in the glass as compared to the polishes in the Fallen collection that don't have a seam. And it's not that all bottles with a seam are bad, like older ones are probably fine, but it's just the newer batches that were really thin. I'm not sure how long it's going to take them to totally make the switch to the new seamless bottle. I guess just however long it takes to sell the batches of polish that were in the older bottles. So that's something to keep in mind if you're placing Mooncat orders. Your safest bet right now, if you want the sturdier bottles, is to order from the Fallen collection, Pandora Unboxed, the Star Wars collab, and any future collections. But their customer service has a really good reputation, so if you do have an issue with a bottle breaking, they will probably replace it. But yeah, there's a lot more that I could say about Mooncat, but I think I'll save it for if I ever do a more comprehensive brand review. I just wanted to give that update about the bottles in case you had heard about the issues over the summer and were wondering what the situation is like now. For now, I'll just say that I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would love it if you would leave me a like or maybe even subscribe. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!